Hi everyone, I'm coming to you with another video. Shalom, shalom. Um, all right, this video is entitled, well, this video focuses primarily on the birth of Christ and should Christians celebrate, I'm sorry, y'all, should Christians celebrate Christ's birthday as December 25th? Because we know that a lot of Christians know a, a lot of followers of Mashiach, a lot of followers of Christ know that December 25th is not his birthday, but they say, there's no way that we can know when his actual birthday is. So that's the day that they choose to celebrate it. But um, there's a lot of paganism surrounded around that day. And should we really celebrate it? So let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. I actually recorded this video yesterday, but it was quite long. And so I'm cutting some things out to just make it a little shorter. I'll go ahead and share my screen right now. So the first thing that I did was just pulled up Tammuz's birthday. If you see here, I just Googled Tammuz's birthday. Tammuz, if you all know or don't know, that's the sun god. That is the god that is primarily worshipped in Babylon. Here in the US, most worship is actually surrounded around Tammuz. That's why I made a video a few months back saying Jesus is Tammuz because there was a bait and switch going on. But um yeah, here is Tammuz's birthday is December 25th. Who is Tammuz? Tammuz is the sun god. He is the reborn sun god. All right. So I'm going to, and he actually was born during supposedly the winter solstice. So if you read Luke, the first and second chapter, this was the prophetic um births of both Mashiach and John the Baptist. So when our Messiah Christ was born, he was born 6 months after John the Baptist. So the angel Gabriel appeared to he appeared to Mary in Luke, and he prophesied the coming Messiah to her. And he told her at that time, your cousin Elizabeth also is with child, although she was barren, she's 6 months pregnant. And then Mary goes to Elizabeth, and we know the story about John leaping in her womb as soon as he hears the voice of Mary. So so if we go a little further in Luke 1, we'll see that Gabriel, there were two prophetic events that took place. Gabriel also appeared to Zacharias during Zacharias's course. Zacharias was a son of Aaron. He was a priest, and we know that the priests or the Levites, they were the only ones that could enter the temple. So when Zacharias served during his course and he entered the temple, Gabriel was standing next to the altar and gave him the prophecy of John the Baptist. So get Zacharias's course was during the course of Abia or Abijah. So this so we know the time frame. That gives us a time. We know the time frame. It was Zacharias served during the course of Abia, and then he received the prophecy that he would have a son and to call him John. And then after he served or completed his course and returned home, his wife was pregnant. His wife was impregnated as soon as he returned home. So 6 months later, Gabriel also appears to Mary, and he tells her the prophecy of Christ. And then he tells her, your cousin, Elizabeth, who they've called barren, she's also with child and she's 6 months pregnant. So um, if you go to Chronicles, First Chronicles, chapter 24, um, it details when the different courses were distributed amongst the children of Aaron, and we see that the course of Abiah was given to it was the eighth lot. So then you have to look at the solar calendar, not the Gregorian calendar that we use today that has 365 days in the year, and that starts the year off in January instead of March, because March, the first week of March is the new year biblically. But since all that has been changed, the Roman Catholic Church changed times and laws, like the Bible said it would. And now we go by the Gregorian calendar after Pope Gregory. So if we got the original calendar, the original solar calendar, and accounted it the way we should, we'll have to find when that feast was, go 6 months from there, and then count 40 weeks from there. It tells us that Christ had a birthday during the warm months. He did not have a winter birthday. And then also, if you go to Luke 2, and you'll see when Gabriel, after Christ's birth, he went to shepherds that were out with their flock, watching their flocks at night. He went to them and told them about the birth of the Messiah, and they wanted to meet him, and they, went and found him in the manger. Also, Mary and Joseph had him in a manger because there was no room in the inn. And so him being born in a manger was symbolic of him being that lamb that would be slaughtered for us, that would lay down his life for us, him being that Passover lamb. So, but also there was no way they would have been able to have him in a manger if they were in the dead of winter. And the winter solstice is the coldest part of the year, because that's when the sun and the moon are supposedly at its furthest points. And that's when a lot of occultic people, they use those months. So anyway, the previous video that I did yesterday, I actually had the calendar up and was trying to explain it. That just made the video like extremely long. So I'm telling you what to do and how to do it if you choose to do it yourself. But there were many different gods that had December 25th birthdays way before Christ, including Tammuz. And if you all don't know, I think I told you all about this story in another video, but you can research Nimrod, Tammuz, and Semiramis, which are the unholy trinity. So Nimrod, he was a descendant of Ham. He was being worshipped as God in the earth after the flood. And so when Alahyim commanded all the tribes to go out into their territories, they refused to, and they said that they were tired of taking his orders and they were going to be their own God. They all gathered in one mind, the same mind on one accord, on a mission to build this Tower of Babel, to war against the Most High, and to be their own God. And so as they were building that Tower of Babel, um, they were they had arrows, they were shooting arrows, firing up into heaven. And the Most High was sending those arrows back down with blood on them. They actually, you know, saying were thinking, okay, we hit them, or they thought they were winning. And the Bible tells us in Genesis 11, when the Most High came down and saw what they were doing, he said, let us confuse their language, because they are one people with on one accord with one mind, and there will be nothing impossible for them. Um, and so that's when he confused their languages. The Bible tells us there were 70 languages, and they all had to disperse. They all were forced to disperse because as they showed up to continue building this tower, they couldn't communicate with one another. And the task became um, just unmanageable. They couldn't obtain it at that time. So now, as they're forced to go out, we have to think about this. Their descendants, they've been on a mission ever since Genesis 11, ever since the Tower of Babel, to to have this one world government, this one world religion, to be their own gods, and to have this to eliminate the Most High. Okay, so the only group of people that their language was not changed and they were able to keep the Hebrew language, which is the language that the whole world was created on. The only people allowed to keep that language were the children of Eber. The children of Eber was the line of Shem, which is the line that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob came from, because Eber and Eber's descendants did not rebel. They did not, they were the only people that did not participate in the tower, in building the tower and rebelling against the Most High. And so that's the line that Abraham was chosen out of, and that's how we have, the current Hebrews today. But also remember that the same people that were on this mission to one day come together and overthrow the Most High as they planned initially, they also had a plan to kill, steal, and destroy the children of Eber, the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, and Psalms 83 tells us about their conspiracy to wipe us from amongst the earth, the same way they want to wipe the Most High and the firstborn, only begotten Son, Yashayah, Christ, from the earth. So anyway, saying all that to say, that's where the Statue of Liberty, that's Semiramis. Nimrod was her husband. When he died, Nimrod, she became pregnant, and she miraculously was impregnated by the rays of the sun, because after Nimrod died, they started worshiping the sun, saying that that was Nimrod, and that the waves, the sun rays, was Nimrod. So apparently she got pregnated by sun rays, pregnant by Nimrod. She had Tammuz, which made him, Nimrod, reincarnated, and made Nimrod now, or Tammuz, the Father and the Son. And so this is the unholy Trinity. She had many names: Isis, Aphrodite, Diana, Semiramis, Ishtar is where we get Easter and Ishtar. Easter is all about fertility, the goddess of fertility. That's why we have the eggs. It's all about these people. But then every god under heaven is worshipped here in Babylon. Okay. So where was I going with this? Let me go to the next thing that I pulled up. So we know that that's his birthday, not Christ. We're going to go to the etymology of the word Christmas. So let me share this with you. So this is etymologyonline.com. Let's go down here. We see the word Christmas. So we know that this first part here is Christ. When you split the word down, it's Christ and Mass. Christ means the anointed, synonymous with the translated to Greek and Hebrew, Mashiach or Messiah, a title given to Jesus of Nazareth. Old English Christ, from Latin Christos, from Greek Christos the anointed. Noun use of verb adjective kareem, to rub or to anoint. Okay, so just like when we think about somebody being anointed with oil, um, that's what Christ, his title means, Messiah or Mashiach. Now we know that they've taken the word Christ and made it mean so many other things. But let's look at Mass. It says here that part two of this name is a Eucharist service. Middle English, mace or mass, from Old English, maces, from Vulgar Latin, missa, Eucharist service, which literally means dismissal. From late Latin, missa or dismissal, feminine past particle of mitter or to let go, to send. All right. So when you're saying the words Christmas, it's actually a celebration. We know that when you say Merry, Merry means happy, eager, enthusiastic. Merry Christmas actually means like merry, or we're happy to dismiss Christ. We're happy to send away or put away Christ. It literally means to send away, to dismiss him. So, and it's the world celebrating it. Now, first of all, we know that the world hated Messiah to the point where they crucified him. And he said, the same way that they hated me, they're going to hate you. So you have Christmas being celebrated all around the world. Um, over in Hong Kong and China, where they're primarily Buddhist, or even in India, you have these nations celebrating Christmas because it's all about it's not about the Messiah's birthday. And that's another thing we have to think about. I'm not going to pull it up at this time. Well, maybe I will, y'all, while I'm still talking. We had okay, hold on. I'm just gonna put God's with December 25th birthday and see if the form or the image that came up for me yesterday will still come up. So what I was saying, I'm sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. When we go back to the Tower of Babel, you have Nimrod, that's being called Adonis, Osiris, um, Tammuz, Doomzit, all these different names. And then you have, you know, Semiramis with multiple names. You have, think about it. When they returned to, when those 70 groups of people were, their languages were divided into 70 nations, and they had to go back into their nations, they all gave these same people names in their different tongues. That's why they all have so many different names. But Christ has one name. He didn't have multiple names like, all these other gods. He has one name. So this is what I wanted. This is the one I wanted. Let me share my screen with you all. All right. So we see Hermes, Buddha, Krishna, Horus, Hercules, Adonis, Tammuz, Mithras, Jesus, Zoroastrus, and Dionysus, all having December 25th birthdays. And then also we see the image here of the false Christ, the false Messiah, which is actually Cesar Borgia or Caesar Borgia, which is Pope Alexander the Seventh's son. This is the person, this is the image, this is what he actually looked like. This is a actual portrait of him, but Pope Alexander wanted his son to um appear godly or be worshiped as God. So they made his hair a little flowy, painted him in all white, and this is the image that they gave our ancestors for Christ. So I want to show you all that, and then I'm going to go ahead and, so that this video won't be as long, I'm just going to keep going. All right, so right here, I want to show you all, I'm going to read to you. I'm not going to even show it. I'm just going to read to you Jeremiah 10. Jeremiah 10, starting at verse 2, thus says, it says the Lord, but I use Alahyim because that's what, they replaced. Thus says Alahyim, not learn the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of people are vain. So he's saying that don't be like the heathen, getting caught up in, don't be like the heathen, getting caught up in all these vain customs. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest for the work of hands of the workmen with an axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers so that it moves not. They are upright as a palm tree, but they speak not. They must needs be born because they cannot go. So this is, and it says they can't do good or evil. So when we think about worship, when we think about, most people imagining getting down on their knees. But the Bible is telling us that this is a part of worship. This is a vain custom of the heathenist people going into the forest, cutting down a tree, dragging it into your home, fastening it with hammers and nails so that it stands upright, and then adorning it with silver and gold. Could they be talking about Christmas here? But a lot of people, I've heard people say, well, that doesn't mean that verse is talking about Christmas. To each his own. If you choose to hear, but still choose to participate, that is, totally up to you, because just maybe 4 years ago or so, I was driving around to multiple stores to Michael's and Hobby Lobby looking for the perfect Christmas tree. I'm sorry, the perfect angel, black angel. I want the black angel to go on top of my Christmas tree. But when I found out, I had no problem with getting rid of things because my relationship, with my king is more important. So we go down to verse 10, it says that the Lord is the true God. He is the living God and the everlasting King. At his wrath, the earth shall tremble, and the nation shall not be able to abide in his indignation. Thus shall ye say unto them, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, when they shall perish from the earth and under these heavens. So a lot of these gods are also symbolized by trees, by different plants. And apparently this symbolizes a God and our worship of him. So I'll leave that. So I'm not going to show this, but I'll just tell you all about it. All right, so the name Yeshua, I'm going to pull this up. So right here, the only thing I type is may his name be blotted out. May his name be blotted out, and you will see that Yeshu comes up. Yeshu or Yeshua means may his name be blotted out. So now I'm going to go to this article here, which is a Wikipedia article, but it has this word Yimak Shimo, right? And so Yimak Shimo, and this gives the Hebrew word for it, but it says, may his name be erased. It is a Hebrew curse placed after the name of particular enemies of the Jewish people. So we see right here, this is not talking about the Hebrew Israelites, the tribes of Judah. This is talking about the Kazars, the Jewish people. All right, so this is a curse that they put on people, and it says Romanized here, and it means may his name be in memory be erased. So now I'm going to go down to where it tells us that Yeshu or Yeshua is the Hebrew abbreviation on this curse. And this is what was applied to Messiah, to Yashu. So if his name was hold on, I'm sorry, let me stop sharing for 1 second. His name was Yashayah. He came in his father's name. All right. The father's name is Ahiah, Ahayah. He came in his father's name, Yashayah. Y, I'm sorry, Yashayah. H, you put an H on the end because he came in his father's name. So literally the name Ahiah is in his name, Yeshayah. And then our name was not Israel. Our Jacob's name was changed to Yashayah. And so we literally had, and he said, and the Bible says that we have his name, that we're carrying his name and we're surnamed by him, although we don't even know it. So the word Yasher or Yasha, which means, Savior and salvation, that's literally our name. But they, Babylon took Isis or Ishtar. They took Ra, the sun god, and they took El, the demon god El or Baal, and they put it together and gave us Israel. So that's a whole nother, it's like every way, They wanted, no matter what rock we tried to flip over, to get back to our Messiah, just like Psalms 83 said, let us blot them out the earth, that the name of Israel will be no remembered no more. The same way that they wanted to blot our Savior's name out, they wanted to blot us out as well. So before I go ahead and end this video, I'm going to show this little 3-minute video about Saturnalia.
Hemisphere during late December, the days are at their shortest lengths and the nights are at their longest. For those of the pagan world, this has always been the greatest time of the year to celebrate and practice the works of darkness. The pagan calendar identifies this period as the winter solstice. It was during the pre-Christian midwinter pagan celebrations of Scandinavia's Norsemen where today's Christmas traditions began. As a means of honoring the pagan sex and fertility god Yule, a 12-day celebration during the month of December was inaugurated. A large single log considered to be a phallic idol was lit on fire and kept burning for 12 days. Animal or human sacrifices were offered in the fire on each of those days. Wild, delirious reveling accompanied the daily sacrifices as drunken participants defiantly strove to make contact with spirits. 1,000 miles away in pre-Christian Rome, celebrants were paying homage to their own gods during the winter solstice. Witchcraft traditions hold that a number of pagan gods were given birth during this period, including Dionysus, Attis, and Baal, chief male god of fertility and licentiousness. Another pagan god from Persia, identified as Mithra, was said to have been born specifically on December 25th. Mithra was the god of the unconquerable sun, the god of the light between heaven and earth, worshipped at that time by an influential Roman cult. His birth symbolized an end to the long nights and a return to the dominance of the sun. During the month-long winter solstice celebration, courts in Rome were closed. Any and all crimes were allowed. Homosexuality, cross-dressing, and uncontrolled debauchery reigned supreme. Rome's order was turned upside down. Even children were allowed to join in the drunken orgies as part of the Juvenalia celebration. By 270 AD, the Roman Emperor Aurelian had made it official, setting aside a 7-day period from December the 17th through the 24th, culminating in an exchange of gifts on December the 25th to celebrate the birth of the sun god. This Roman orgy to end all orgies later became known as Saturnalia, in honor of the god Saturn, the god of excess. Roman soldiers invading Britain brought with them their pagan orgiastic traditions. Upon taking root in England, Saturnalia became known as the Festival of Fools, reigned over by the Lord of Misrule. By the 4th century, the influential government-sanctioned Church of Rome, unable to outlaw the growing number of pagan practices, chose instead to adopt them into their so-called official Christianity. The Church believed this would attract more pagans to their fold.
It's nice to unwind.
Okay, guys, so yeah, we know that Christianity was changed a lot. A lot of paganism was inserted into Christianity during the time of Constantine. Constantine in 312, he, he just basically, it became an attack on Torah keeping true Christians. And he, as Roman emperor and pope, he just took all religions. He took Saturnalia, he took Mithraism, he took Baal worship. He took all religions and just made it one under the umbrella of Christianity. anyone caught actually still keeping Saturday Sabbath, that's when the Sabbath was changed from the last day of the week to the first day of the week, the first time. And he was the first that initially did that. And then anyone caught keeping Sabbath, he would actually like send troops out to go to homes and just make sure that people weren't keeping Sabbath. And anyone caught keeping Sabbath, was the crime was punishable by death. Anyone caught circumcising their children, circumcising their servants, or anything like we did in the Bible or in Torah, like true Torah keepers did, the punishment was death. So they would go out, literally check people's newborn infants to see if they had been circumcised, and slaughter the parents for doing so. And so this is when followers of Christ, a lot of them lost their lives as martyrs, but then a lot of them can, can find it, and went ahead and did those paganist things to preserve their lives. And then it goes into Spain when the true biblical Israelites were enslaved under King Nebuchadnezzar and King Darius in Spain. That's when the people started being called Negroes under Yashayah, which is King Solomon's son. And then, that's when I made a video about the Dom Diversas and the Invictus, the two orders from the Pope in the early 1400s that started the slave trade and told them to come to the Americas, make the indigenous heathens here, as well as those of us that were in what they call Negro land, or the Kingdom of Judah, on the slave coast of West Africa. That's when they sent the papal orders to enslave us. So anyway, those are whole other videos, but I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. Shabbat Shalom, and you all have a blessed and happy Sabbath. Until Ahyah, until the next video, which Ahyah has given me a few to make. So you all be blessed. Peace and blessings.